Welcome to the High Pressure Podcast with me, George Ratermann.
And me, Marie Williams. Brought to you by Reliably Ratermann.
Bringing you industry news and trends.
Plus, insightful conversations with industry leaders.
Let's get to today's show. So today, I got to tell you, I'm so excited today on the High Pressure Podcast. We have Tim Knapp, we have John Bukowski from Generant, and then our phenomenal, fantastic guy, Lance Looper from our Cryogenic division. Here today to talk about a subject that is pretty cool, because it's actually pretty cool, which is the LTAP. So I think a great spot here to start off with is we all hear about this LTAP and why it's so necessary, what we need to do with it. Could we hear from you guys what, just a general, like in 28 words, what's an LTAP?
So the LTAP device it stands for low temperature actuation probe. And what it's doing is it's protecting your systems when you're using cryogenic product. It's protecting your system from getting too cold. It's sensing temperature, and when the temperature set point of the device is breached to the low side, it's going to shut the system down and protect your equipment and your personnel downstream.
Okay, so basically you have a bulk tank, you got cryogenic fluid in there, it's coming out, and you're going into gas, going through a vaporizer, coming out as gas.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, something's not working right, and the temperature starts to drop down, which tells you cryogenic is now coming through the line. And before that can continue in, for whatever reason, it's going to shut it off.
It's actually going to do that even before your pressure drops away. The pressure is going to drop away because of the LTAP. It's sensing when the gas gets too cold. It's not even close to liquid. It's at negative 20 degrees F, which is pretty warm in cryogenic.
Okay, so really, it's super preventative, right? It's before you even get close to something bad happening.
Precisely.
Okay, so Lance, I know you've done a lot with the LTAP and final lines and all that good stuff. You want to touch a little bit on the typical installation you normally see with an LTAP?
Yeah, well, what's great is, Generant has really put a lot of time and effort into coming up with, and I like to call it a safety device, George. This is one of the safest things that a customer can install on one of their systems. We're installing bulk tanks all over the country at this point. And one of the things I think we sometimes do not look at, maybe downstream of what that customer may have had installed inside the building, what type of piping. I've seen carbon steel piping. I've seen PVC piping. And this device actually will keep any of those temperatures that could cause any kind of embrittlement to the metals or any kind of the piping. This is actually installed to secure that customer and to secure the distributor too. That's put in the system that nothing potentially could happen. So, the LTAP is really, in my eyes, is going to be something that revolutionizes the industry and the concept that they put into it and just the pure maintenance of it. It's unbelievable.
Well, I got to tell you, one of the things I love about our relationship with Generant is that Generant's really listening to the customer and what do they need and what things are they trying to accomplish. And the engineering that comes into their products is outstanding. And one of the things I think is a really cool feature of this is that if the power goes out, there's no power, this still operates, right? You don't have to worry, which is when many things can happen because power goes out. And maybe, Jan, if you could touch on that a little bit, how that operates and how that works without any power at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's virtually an entirely passive device, right? You don't know it's there unless it's working. And we designed it to be fully mechanical so that no electricity or anything was needed of anything like that. So any power outages would not trip a customer system unnecessarily. As you touched on, we worked with a lot of leading engineers at major gas suppliers, and they were pretty demanding about how this thing needed to work and function. So it's hundreds of hours of validation testing to ensure that none of the considered variables would affect it.
So this is a question that I think sometimes comes up. Let's say you're a gas distributorship. You could be a smaller one or mid-size or large. Let's just say you have 2 or 3 bulk tanks out there in customers, or maybe you have 50 or 100 bulk tanks or more. When is it that you should put the LTAP? Is it every bulk tank that you install? Is it some of the bulk tanks, certain applications? What would be your thoughts in general from a safety perspective and why?
It's mainly industrial gas distribution, and it has a lot to do with components downstream, piping downstream. What are you using? if there's valves and regulators and things of that nature that have elastomer seals that maybe aren't rated for cryogenic temperatures, piping that when it drops below a certain temperature, whatever that temperature is, may become brittle. Any kind of mechanical impact or even the presence of a pressure spike can cause rupture. You may want to take a look at your system, do a risk assessment, and see if you might want to install a low temperature actuation probe.
Lance touched on it briefly about 5 minutes ago, that carbon steel piping is a big spot where these things are used. Carbon steel piping, it's less than half the cost of stainless steel piping. So it makes economical sense to install carbon steel in your systems. But the problem with carbon steel is there's a ductile to brittle transition temperature that's depending on the composition of the pipe, somewhere below 0 degrees. And what happens then is once you get the pipe down to that temperature, any imperfection in the pipe and any mechanical disturbance can cause catastrophic failure, which endangers not only your system, but personnel.
Yes, right. And my gosh, right now, look at the weather around the country. We talked to some of our folks in Houston, and our Houston facility was 5 degrees, right? Yep. And so you get those kind of areas. That's when you start hearing about other kind of pipes breaking and things. I wanted to ask you this. If we looked at a customer that, let's say they had a pipe break for whatever reason, not because it gets cold, but just something else happens, a forklift inside the building hits something, breaks a pipe. If it had a massive flow coming through, this would also probably help shut off, depending on how much the gas is coming out, based on the fact that now the gas is coming through and it might start now bringing in, much colder gas. Would that be accurate?
Absolutely. At some point, when there's a catastrophic failure downstream, you're going to overwhelm your vaporizer. When you overwhelm your vaporizer, the product coming out of it that was sized at a certain flow rate is now going to be coming out much, much colder. And at some point, that it's too cold for the equipment downstream, and the LTAP will sense that and shut the system down.
Yeah. So it sounds like really, if you're whether you're in a semiconductor using blanketing gases or a laser or other type of equipment, you don't want that to happen where it gets down to that temperature, the liquid comes in, because then you got other kind of damages that also could happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there's a typical application. I recommend, everybody that uses cryogenic liquid should do a risk assessment and see what does it mean if there's a catastrophic failure downstream. Is it just equipment failure? Is it potential casualties and endangerment of personnel? Everybody should look at it.
Right. Because you have everything from asphyxiation on down to many other things that can happen. So Tim, when you look at the LTAP, and if you want to put like 3 big bullet points, when this is for a gas distributor, when does this really something you should give a lot of heavy thought to putting in place? What would be those 3 bullet points?
Yeah, it would be abnormally high draw rates, abnormally cold weather, and any downstream failure, line rupture that would cause your system to kind of go out of control.
Okay, great. So those are 3 key things. And those are all 3 things that we don't want to have problems with as a gas distributor, right? And we've got a product here that has no power connected, works 24/7. And in the rare event there was a problem, it will be still safe because it will shut down things versus having other kind of failure.
Precisely.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
And while you're looking at the system, you can use, potentially a Generant pilot operated regulator fed by one of our back pressure regulators. Look at the manifold itself and see where Generant can fit in.
Yeah. Great. Fantastic. Lance, you had something you want to say?
Yeah, George. And, I have fun at the Generant manufacturing facility, especially with this product line, because, I've been going for years and, they've had engineers sitting behind draft tables and things like this. This really was, I'm going to age myself again. I felt like I was watching an episode of Mr. Wizard. These guys really took a thought process of how to take temperature and theoretically get it to shut off at an exact temperature. One of the things to think about other devices in the industry, there's been hit or miss, on exact temperature. This device really hits the points of like making sure it goes off at that exact point where we set it. And it's just amazing watching these guys go to work and coming up with the science and the logic behind this thing, how it works. It's just really was remarkable.
Yeah. Well, and also I'll tell you, we've got all kinds of great information on our YouTube channel, as well as our folks at our company. Please contact us or go to our website, and we'd be happy to step through you and with you and show you how this can bring a lot of benefit. And I think you'll really be thrilled with the information we can provide you. So please contact us at Ratermann Manufacturing. We would be able to come out there. We got some live demos we can show you. A lot of good things we've got. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys taking time out of the day today. And I know that you've got some more things out there to work on and design and test. So I so appreciate you taking the time today to be on the High Pressure Podcast with us at Ratermann Manufacturing. So thank you so much. And you guys have a great day.
Thank you so much, George.
Thank you, George. Appreciate the invite.
Thanks for watching. Stay up to date with the latest news in the gas and welding industry by clicking on the subscribe button.
And check out one of our other videos to learn more. Find out more about Reliably Ratermann at rmiorder.com.